it is one that has dominated the headlines lately. Infidelity in the military. The story making news, of course, is the resignation of former four-star General David Petraeus as head of the CIA after the FBI learned of his affair with the woman who wrote his biography. But that disclosure and all that followed only hints at a much wider scandal in the armed forces.
The resignation of General David Petraeus has turned into a kind of reality show, complete with Florida housewives, a tawdry affair, and flirtatious emails. But it has also turned a spotlight on one of America's most respected institutions, the military.
Infidelity was really high on the radar screen over the last years, and I saw it as a major problem, and I use the word epidemic.
Dr. Craig Chandler is a retired Air Force chaplain who has done extensive research on military ethics over his career.
Infidelity came up as a major concern for 70% of the counselors that I interviewed.
On Thursday, Secretary Leon Panetta ordered a review of ethics training for all military officers.
We all demand at the OD is that those who seek to protect this country operate by the highest ethical standards.
But this year alone, there have been several top commanders investigated or fired for sexual improprieties or bad judgment. Among them, Brigadier General Jeffrey Sinclair, a former deputy commander in Afghanistan, who's facing a military grand jury on charges of adultery and sexual misconduct. But Chandler says we often neglect those that are hurt the most.
The painful looks on the spouse's faces, the cries, the tears, the repeated suffering, and it's long-lasting.
And joining us now are two women who know all about the challenges of family life in the military. J.C. Eckert is an Air Force kid who became a Navy wife and an Army mom. She's also the spouse editor of Military.com and the author of The Homefront Club. Siobhan Fallon is an Army wife, a family readiness group leader, and author of You Know When the Men Are Gone. And welcome to both of you. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Nice to be here.
J.C., is this the Army's dirty little secret?
Not at all. Military families are just like civilian families when it comes to infidelity. We estimate that about a third of all families are blighted by infidelity. And so you've got to remember, 2/3 of the family are not.
How did you react to this? I mean, this is part of your community in essence, and now we're looking at something that's happening at the very top among people who are supposed to be models. What was the response in the military community to this, and do you think the general should have resigned?
It was overwhelmingly a response of sadness. This is a couple that is so well known for their dedication to the military family. Right. And so it was really very shocking and so sad for everyone.
Siobhan, how about you?
Yeah, I think everyone overwhelmingly supports General Petraeus and his military career, and we're pretty upset. But I think he was acting as a retired general, and it's sort of something to keep in mind that he was no longer in uniform when he's spoken about that when he committed or had the extramarital affair, he was acting as the director of the CIA.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a relief, too.
Do you get the impression at all that anyone within the Army is using rank as power within personal relationships, Siobhan?
I don't at all, and my experience in the military has always been that our chain of command and our leaders have been chosen as leaders because they're really upstanding men and women and make great decisions and are worthy of leading our soldiers into battle and making life and death decisions. And I've seen incredible marriages at every level in the military.
But at the same time, and I know, JC, you've talked about this, that I mean, you're dealing with relationships that have to be maintained often over the telephone because the men are away for long periods of time, right?
I think it's important to remember that in a military family, fidelity is not a feeling. Fidelity is a set of behaviors that you learn over time, and they need to change. The ones that you needed when you were younger are very different than the ones that you need when you're in your 40s.
Do you get the impression that the military is in favor of being aware of those issues and pursuing it further? I mean, we heard from Leon Panetta this week that he's doing an entire ethics investigation.
I think that the military understands that you have to be, the people who are closest to you, you have to be faithful to. And that starts with that number one person you've got at home.
J.C. Eckert, Siobhan Fallon, thank you so much.
Thanks.